Welcome to the Degrees of Success podcast. My name is Frida Richards, and I am your host. Today, we have the incredible privilege of speaking with Dr. Terry Jones, a renowned human resource executive with over 25 years of experience. He's a retired veteran who served in the government and nonprofit organizations focusing on diversity, equality, and inclusion. He's currently the Vice President of Human Resources for the United States Institute of Peace. Dr. Jones, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Frida. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, let's just jump right in. We want to know more about your story and where you came from. So tell us about your childhood. What were you like as a kid and where you grew up?
I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware. It's that, like my wife says, it's that city that people drive through to get to New York. Small town, very strong community, and it was a good childhood. It was tough. It was rough sometimes, but it was good.
Tell me about what that looked like at home. Mom, dad, siblings?
Just mom. Dad left like when we were very young, and we survived. And one of the things, I would not be here without my mother. She still scares me, to this day. But she made sure that I did not get caught up in all the drama that surrounded a young Black man in my community.
Absolutely. Speaking of your mom, I know that she's said a few things that have stuck with you, and I imagine there's probably a multitude of things, but that have stuck with you and helped you drive into your career. What would be a few of those quotes that you think?
The one thing that comes to mind immediately is there's no such thing as I can't. She told us, because we didn't have a lot growing up, but she never allowed us to think like we were beneath anyone or we were struggling. That poor mentality, that mentality, she never let us do that. And she said, I would rather have you fail than not to try. And that has driven me and my sister throughout our lives.
Oh, wow. I would rather you fail than not to try, because clearly if you failed, you tried.
Exactly.
That's very good. What's your mom's name?
And she goes by Ann. I cannot say her real her first name on air. You're not getting me in trouble.
I'm not going to do it. I know listen, if you're afraid, I know I should be. So Miss Ann, thank you for the incredible quote. I think I'm going to keep that with myself as well. I love that. So I imagine your mom was a great influence on you. Throughout your childhood, who else would you think that was fairly influential to you?
It went both ways. I had a lot of younger uncles that were role models. And then I had people within the community that I saw and said, I don't want to do that, or that's what I want to do when I grow up. So it was, I took the good and the bad and shaped my goals from there.
Who taught you to shape the goals?
I've actually, initially myself. Because I didn't have a lot of, because my uncles were younger, like they were in their older teenagers or late 20s, so they were still growing up also. So I had to do a lot of it myself, and I didn't do it right, initially, but it was I had to either do it or it wouldn't get done.
What's the right way?
The right way is to make sure you are flexible. One of the things that I learned early in my career, and I'm going to age myself now, I was involved in that busing when we were bused out to county schools or whatever. That was difficult because that was the first time I experienced racism in my life. And my mom's goal was to have us to get a better education, but I told her later after graduating that was the worst 4 years of my life. It was tough. It was tough.
So during that 4 years, you experienced your first bout of racism as a child.
Yes.
And you expressed that to your mom, that she was trying to give you a better opportunity, and you just happened to also meet you with some unfortunate situations as well. My goodness. And I imagine that is a story for many people when parents are trying to do better, putting them in a situation of higher privilege or accessibility. Do you think that that 4 years also gave you some resilience and drive, and maybe one of the reasons that you were one of the best DEI specialists in the game?
It helped me to tell myself that, okay, first of all, don't take this personal, because you're not. Don't let them think you're beneath anyone. Secondly, I don't want anybody else to feel like this. I don't care where you come from, you know, and we're all here for a reason. And I'm not gonna put you down because you look different than me. And I've tried to do that my whole career.
That makes sense because you have had an expansive career in human resources, specifically working and designing opportunities for people that are diverse. Can you dive a little bit more into your passion and your mission for that?
It drives from what I mentioned before, that the feeling that I had, that because you have to go. I went home a lot of times and said, I'm not good enough for this, and people, and why are people treating me this way? I just want people to be able to come into wherever they are, regardless of where we meet, and feel welcome, and not have people, putting them down, or if people are doing it, be able to move beyond that and say, look, this is not going to stop me from achieving my goals or my dreams in my life.
So you want to give people the tools to be able to navigate regardless of the environment, to still be able to be successful despite the negativity that may be going on around them.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, let people know that don't use it as a crutch. Make sure if you get turned out for a job or whatever, make sure you've done everything you can do from a personal standpoint to make them say it hard to say no to you. That drove me also, and it drove me to get my doctorate degree. When I got out of the military, my goal was to I want to dictate what I want to do, and not the world dictate what I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I got my master's degree while I was in the military, and then I got out, waited 7 years. I don't know why. And then I went back to school, but it drove me. I was like, I don't want anybody to say you didn't have this. That's why we didn't hire you. So if you don't get hired, then hey, if there was another candidate, I'm good with that. But I didn't want to leave anything on the table that may distract them, or say, if there's a tiebreaker, well, he didn't have this, and this person had this. I didn't want that to happen to me.
So you're breaking glass ceilings. You want to ensure that you have everything put into place to make sure that you are the ideal candidate. And if someone's better than you, roger that. But you've done absolutely everything in your power to ensure that you can open the doors that you want.
Exactly.
And you set other people up for that same success as well.
Yes, it's important to give back, and I know as a older Black man, younger ones look at me, just like I looked at my uncles when I was growing up, and you don't force people, you don't force yourself on people, but if somebody reaches out, take the time to reach back out to that person and talk to them.
You are on the exact same page as I am. You are clearly a great representation of an African American man doing incredible things. Do you believe that representation is important for others to continue to look up to? As you said, you said that you're an older Black man. You should tell your face. You look very young. But I imagine it's those awesome kids and grandkids that keep you young, I'm sure, and your beautiful wife. But as you move throughout your career and you see younger people, maybe other young African American males, what do you think the effect of seeing a older Black man in such a prestigious position is for them in regards to them learning and growing and looking to achieve?
That they shouldn't be afraid of hard work and failure. Failure helped me, throughout my career, because I learned from failure. This didn't work out the way I wanted to do. I wanted it to, but I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna keep on trying. And then when they reach out, to have a conversation with, this is how I got where I am. Don't try to follow this 100%. Take a little bit of me, take a little bit of several other people, and make it yours. And then it may not exactly happen the way you want it to, but you're going to end up somewhere, and you're going to do a good job, and you're going to be successful. It's all what we're looking for. My faith also drives me what I do.
Again, something else you and I have in common. You mentioned having faith and that being one of your drives, but you've also said your mom taught you about failure. If you're not failing, you're not trying. And you mentioned failing and how that's also created your current being, where you're at right now, because you've continued to try, possibly fail. Can you tell us about some of the failures that helped get you to where you are?
Yeah, it started with the military. In the military, I was in the Air Force, and we have to, after a certain grade, you have to take a test and you have to be evaluated to move forward. I took that for granted, when I was going for that next higher grade. And when I got my test scores back, my test scores reflected that I didn't take it serious, because I thought I'm in there. And that was a hard lesson. That was a very hard lesson for me. And I sat down with a mentor and they said, if you would have did this, you could have got a higher score. But I thought I could get around that, and I paid for that. I lost that promotion that year because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. That was a tough lesson. Yeah.
I can imagine, especially while in the military. Tell us about that, because clearly your faith and your service in the military. Thank you for your service. I am an Army brat. My daddy is a Marine. My mommy is an E9. She just retired at 60. And my husband is he was in the Marines as well. So from an Army slash Marine brat, thank you for your service.
Thank your family.
Thank you. I will tell them. Tell us more about your experience in the military and how that has affected your career thus far.
The military allows you to advance and do a lot of things if you take advantage of the opportunity. Everything is laid out. They tell you, okay, if you want to be an E9, this is how you do it. Now, everybody doesn't make E9. We know that. But if you prepare yourself for each grade, just imagine how marketable you are in the military or outside the military if you do everything you're supposed to do, because everybody's not going to get there, but you can walk away from that experience saying, I did everything I could. It just wasn't meant to be. And the military helped me, and that transitioned into when I got out, and I said, okay, everything is not meant to be. You're going to work hard. You're going to go for this, but everything is not going to work the way you want it to. Learn from those experiences, and you're going to end up where you are supposed to be, and not always time where you want to be. I've learned that throughout my career. And thinking back on because when you try to force the issue, it doesn't always work that way. And then I'll get frustrated and upset sometimes. And then wherever I end up, I'll take a breath and say, yeah, this is where you're supposed to be. You ended up in the right place.
So sometimes you just need to take a moment, reevaluate, and then recognize that, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. There's meaning and purpose in this space.
Exactly, yes.
So going from the military to a civilian job has to be a very interesting transition. Tell me about that and how you made that decision.
It was, my wife also served and retired from the Air Force. She outranked me. It's okay.
I love it. I love it.
So, moving through that process, and then saying one day, I came home from work and I said, I want to do something else now. I just want to do something. It's time. And after making that decision, it took me 8 months to actually get out and retire and get out. But one day I just said, it's time for me to, and I was at the pinnacle of my career when I made that decision. But it just something in me was like, it's time for you to do something else now.
And so when you made that choice, your wife is still in the military. And I know that you said that she's one of your biggest advocates through your doctoral experience. And I imagine through this experience as well. What did that look like?
First, she thought I was playing. She thought, oh, he just having a bad day. And then she called me the next day because I was actually stationed in Boston and she was still in DC.
Oh, wow.
So that factored into it also. And then she called me back the next day and I said, I'm done. I said, I want to do something else. And then she told me, she said, life is different out the military. You need to understand that. I said, yeah, I got this. It's no big deal. But it is. It's a major deal. Mm-hmm. And we all struggle in some capacity in adjusting to that new life. I make a joke out of it when I first got out, and people were saying, you dress very well. I said, no, I dress very well because for 20 years I could go in my closet and pick out with my eyes closed and pick out what I was wearing.
Yes.
I said, now I'm playing dress up. I said, that's what I'm doing now.
Now I'm having more fun.
Yeah, it was just a matter of transitioning. And just small things like in the transit system here. I never used a transit system in the morning. Me and my wife would use it to go to plays, dinner. We would come to DC. At night, the transit system is different at night than it is during commuting time.
Really, how so?
Like all the people, like early in the morning, it was just crazy. And I went home the first day and I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. And she said, I told you it was different. And little things like that we take for granted because in the military, we're in this, closed environment, and we take care of each other. But when you step out of that, you no longer are part of that, and people struggle with that also. You're in a new world, and you have to adjust to the world that you're in now.
Absolutely, because the military could feel like a family.
Yes.
And when you're on base, you're safe. When you get off, it's a little different.
Yes, it is. Very. Yes. Yeah.
Did it take a while for you to find yourself or like what it was like outside of your uniform? Even you do dress absolutely fabulously. Did it take a moment to get there, to find like what outfits you wanted to wear?
Yes. Initially, it was, I used to call them, I only had suits for church. And then I had to change that because it's a different kind of, I needed business suits. Mm-hmm. And different, it changed my whole wardrobe, and then you realize that it costs money.
Facts.
Yeah. That was a major adjustment, but I always wanted to work in the business kind of world, and I said you need to dress where you want to be, and it took a while, it takes phases, but I'm still getting there, but I'm a little better at it now than I was when I first got out.
Well, it changes. All these trends. Yes. Definitely changes. Well, you've mentioned your wife, and I know that you said that your family is your passion, your greatest passion in life, and I couldn't agree with you more. Tell me about this incredible woman who has been by your side and your two awesome adult children and grandchildren.
And my wife, she's everything. She has been by my side. She has been the person. She has been the advisor, both good and negative. When I'm off base, I hear it. And when we were in the military, it was never a competition. I supported her through her career. She supported me through mine. Because we were both very successful and moving up in ranks. And we had actually had a conversation about one of us will probably have to get out earlier because of the location. And it happened to me because I went to Boston for a couple of years. But she has been by my side. And I would not be here today without her. And I say that without hesitation. She is everything to me.
It's so great to have a spouse that could support you while doing something so critical to your career. And then clearly, like you said, she supported you in the doctoral process as well, that you received here at University of Phoenix.
Yes, I did.
So tell me about that journey as she's partnering with you. You've got, at the time that you're getting your doctorate, tell us about what family, spouse, wife life balance and work balance look like to you.
One of the first things I did when I decided to pursue the doctorate degree, I sat down with my family and I said, okay, this is going to take a lot of my time, but I'm also always going to make time for all of you. And this may require me to, like when we were on vacations, because we go on family vacations, to have my laptop with me. I took my laptop with me everywhere for 5 years. Every single, it's easy to say that, but you had to make yourself do it, you know. And a couple of times on trips, I would tell them, I need to do this. I need to do this paper or before we go downtown or whatever. And they was like, cool, you know, we'll just go to the pool or whatever. And it worked because we had that conversation. She was around when I got the couple like rejection letters from IRB or whatever, and she would see me sitting in the room just saying, I can't do this, and she was like, yes, you can do this. You never quit at anything, you know, you need to do this. Because if you quit, it's going to drive you crazy, and I can't deal with that.
That's right. Failure is one thing, quitting is another.
Exactly. Yeah. My grandchildren were young at the time, and to be honest, the best papers I wrote were when they were in the house with me, running around.
Why do you think that is?
Because I loved having them around me, you know, and they would come up and say, Papa, are you doing your homework? And I'm like, yes. And they were like, are we too loud? I say, yeah, you're a little loud. Okay, that would last about 5 minutes. Yeah. but I just love having them around and showing them that I'm not just going to tell you how important education is. I'm going to show you how important it is.
Yet again, another great opportunity to show little young children and having a great representation of a strong man working hard and doing what needs to be done to get that doctorate. Because one of the things my mother told me that I tell my children is that anything worth having is worth working for.
Yes.
And I tell that to myself in the middle of the night because I too am getting my doctorate in management. So we'll have a similar degree. I don't have it yet, though. I'm in phase 2. So these bags are real. And I am not alone. There's a lot of really incredible people in my classroom, some of which are actually focusing on diversity, inclusion, and equality. If you were to give myself or any of my classmates any advice for what it's like to be a University of Phoenix student, in an adult with a full-time job and a family and little ones running around, what would be your advice for us?
Listen to the everyone that's tried to help you, the executive dean on down. Our first residency, it was 35 of us, and we were in somewhere in Virginia. And the executive dean was there from the School of Advanced Studies at the time. That's what it was called at the time. He saw our faces, and we were all terrified. And he came in and said, okay, first of all, I need all of you to relax. And then we were like, okay, thank you. And then he said, and then as you go through this program, make sure that you stay grounded. And even though you have to write scholarly, write so a high school student can understand what you're saying. And that stuck with me. Because he said people get in this program and they get too wound up and they start writing that you can't even understand what they're saying. And as I went through the program and with the instructors, that was the best advice that I got. Because, you know, write so I can understand what you're talking about. Have that support system. Like there was 5 of us. that really hung out together, like at the residencies, and stay in touch with that little small cohort, or how big it has to be, but have that support system. There are some outstanding instructors, as you well know, that University of Phoenix has. My academic advisors were good. It was just a good overall experience for me on both ends.
I have to agree with you. We do have an excellent faculty. I'm biased, obviously, but I am a student, and I've had them come alongside me and challenge me. Not, it's not easy at all, but definitely challenge me in so many different ways. One of the things that I've learned thus far that's somewhat surprised me is that during this process, it's been very humbling. Not so much because I thought I knew a lot, but more so, I'm learning about how to be an impeccable leader by serving others and being passionate and caring in regards to who it is that they are, learning their patterns of behavior, and being able to adjust to those things. And for me, that's become really useful for me in my day-to-day. What would you say was a powerful piece of information or a lesson that you took with you that you still use today?
To not be afraid to ask for help. It's okay, because you're not, but that's difficult and hard, and it's been hard for me in my life, but you don't know everything. And when you get in a program, a doctorate program, you don't want to, you're looking like, I don't want to say anything. I don't know what's going on right now, but I don't want to say anything because I'm supposed to know this. No, you're not. If this is new to you, hey, I don't know this. Could you explain it more or whatever? Even if you have to do it after class, or ask one of your cohorts or one of your colleagues and say, hey, did you understand this? But because when you go back home, it's a lonely place when you're by yourself and you're trying to, decipher something that you don't know, that you have no clue, and you had an opportunity to ask what it's about. That is difficult. And I've done it. The pride comes in sometimes, but I said, no, you need to ask because you don't have a clue right now.
Yes. I think that is such incredible advice because isn't it true? You get into a room where you expect that, all these other people have this great amount of knowledge. I shouldn't ask this question. I'll come across dumb. When the likelihood of them also needing to know the answer to that question is high.
Right.
Secondly, I heard this on another podcast that I was listening to, and she said, when you raise your hand, you're dumb for 5 minutes. When you don't, you're dumb forever. Because if you don't ask the question, you don't know. And it's daring, but the reality is most of the people in the room or online with you have the exact same question. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're human. I feel like it breaks that barrier, right? Where everyone could be that much more humble. I think that's really great advice. Excellent advice. So amongst your vast career, I know you also worked for the Department of Defense. I'd love to hear more about that position and how it just continued to cultivate you as a leader.
That was my, after the military, the Department of Defense, the civilian side of the Department of Defense was my safety net, because I was not ready to go out to the real world, as they say. So I was like, okay, I need to just transfer to the other side of the Department of Defense. That taught me, I love talent acquisition. I love helping people. I've always loved that. Thrived in the military, and I just transferred over. Then I got an opportunity to be the chief of staff for a deputy undersecretary of defense. I had been out of the military for 7 months, and she picked me over more senior people. Miss Bradshaw, and to this day I still remember her name. She wanted me to call her Patricia because that's my wife's name. I said, no, I'm not calling you that. I'm calling you Miss Bradshaw. I just got out of the military, so I'm still that. And she taught me what I looked at her and she taught me what a leader was. Every day she taught me what a leader meant. I've seen her interact with people in some very bad situations, but she never wavered. And then I've seen her calm general officers down, other people that were outranked her, and said,
Wow.
"We can do this." She was fantastic, and we still correspond today because of that. I really respect her to this day.
So I imagine that you most likely took some of the incredible leadership aspects of who and what she is and implement them currently today. What would you say that you took from her that is working best for you now?
It's our jobs are hard enough, regardless of where you work. We spend upwards of 8 to 12 or even longer every day at our jobs. And then on top of that, being in a supervisory position is added pressure to people. But I always walk away and say, you're put in this position for a reason. First of all, you need to equip yourself to be in this position, because just because you were a good technician does not mean you're going to be a good supervisor or leader. Equip yourself, take the necessary training, and then if you don't want to do any of that, take care of your people. Take care of your people, and you have to know your people. You can't. And there's multiple generations in the workforce now that are motivated by different things. You have to understand what motivates your people. Talk to them, and don't talk to them about their job all the time. Just say, "How you doing?" It's okay to laugh. They need to see you as a human being, and then understand, okay, we have a hard job, but I know one person in this building has my back, and that's my supervisor. That's what I focus on, because if you take care of your people will go through the fire for you.
I know that to be true. I know that to be true. I've had several leaders in my life actually support me in a way that at the time I honestly felt like I didn't deserve. Like, oh, you really just want to be alongside me? To I actually started my doctorate because of my business. He was my old boss, Dr. Sandusky, and he has just stayed in my life and been such a great force. I called him to tell him, hey, I think I'm going to start another master's. Like, I have an opportunity with University of Phoenix, and I think I could. I think I'm going to do another master's. Maybe I'll do it in psychology. I'm always interested in how the brain works and how people converse. And he said, well, why would you do that? And I was like, well, I mean, the only other option would be to get a doctorate, but I mean, I'm not a business leader, is exactly what I said to him. And you would have thought that I called his dog ugly because
Exactly.
he was so upset. What are you speaking about? Absolutely not. You've been a leader since I've met you. And he went on and on. When I tell you that at the end of that call, I finished that application and was excited to report to him my very first class, my very first grade. And he's continued to be a driving force in my life. And mentors are so important because they, one, remind you who you are, and two, remind you of your capabilities in a time in which you feel like, I may not be able to do this.
Right.
And remind you how capable you are. So as a leader, you're doing that for the people who serve you and work with you. And I could tell you, as someone who has someone like you in my life, it is so impactful overall, over my whole life, over my career. If it wasn't for the support of my family, obviously, but also people who went out of their way
Right.
to believe in me, or even to do what your academic advisor did, which is simply repeat back to them what I've repeated to them. Just how powerful it is to hear it back and to get that drive to do it, and to say, like, nope, you know what, you're right, I could do it, and get back on the horse to do that. So thank you for being a leader and teaching others to do the same, because because of the boss and the leader he is in my life, I want to be a good leader. I want to do that for other people the way that he's done that for me. And I'm confident that your people are feeling the exact same way.
Yeah.
You're designing and creating other leaders.
Yeah. One of the first conversations I have with anybody who joins my team, and this throws people off, is, and it's normally the first or second meeting with me. I said, what do you want to do next? And they're like, what, are you firing me? I said, no, I hired you to do your job you're in now. What do you want to do after this so I can help you get there? That's what, and that my military mentors taught me that mentality, because we always talked about what was ahead in the military. Okay, how do I get you there, Terry? How can I help you get there? And I've carried that in my career.
Well, you clearly carried a lot of things. For instance, you are carrying 2 bronze medals, apparently, for how incredible you are in this particular division in human resources with DEI and driving a force for other diverse people to move up in leadership. Tell me about how you got there. How did we get to this incredible achievement and what it means to you?
I'll start back when I mentioned about my high school years. There was a time where I did not like people who didn't look like me because of what I went through. Went in the military, understood that people weren't bad, and there's some people that really cared about you that did not look like you and took care of me. And then I just kind of always said I don't want people, and from other experience in my lifetime, dealing with different things, I just said I don't want people to feel like this, because it makes you feel less of a person sometimes. And anything I can do to prevent that or mitigate it, I will do. And that is having a difficult conversations. One of the things that we did at the Environmental Protection Agency during the George Floyd and all the civil unrest is we had listening sessions, and I was a co-facilitator, and those were difficult conversations, but it allowed our people to talk to each other, and that when we started to implement different DEIA practices and procedures, it was more of an acceptance of it because everybody had a voice. But you also have to realize that everybody is not in support of it. So what you do has to make sense. It has to be sustainable and not always reactive on certain things, because reactive changes don't last. And that's one of the things, in my opinion, that we did during the civil unrest is we reacted to a lot of things, and we put things in place that aren't sustainable now. As you mentioned, the DIA program managers or advisors or whatever, they're going away because a lot of them didn't even know what they were doing because it wasn't established correctly. There's a place for that, but it has to be done correctly, and everybody understands. And anybody should be able to walk into a DIA office and say, "Can I talk to you?" That's what it's for. Inclusion means everybody, and that's where I struggle with this. What we're going through now in this country, serving this country, and being one of those people who say, "Look, this country has not always been nice to me." But I wake up every day and say, I'm going to be a better person, and I'm going to give you a chance, regardless of where you come from or what you look like. And I taught my oldest son that. I'm teaching my grandsons that because I want this to continue throughout my family, and I'm pretty sure it will.
I'm confident that it will. Your grandchildren and your son are definitely being led and taught by the right one to be able to create that environment. How old is your son?
He is in his late 30s now.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. That took me by surprise. I will not fib to you at all. My goodness, I need to know your skincare routine. Feel free. When we jump offline, let's talk about that.
It's my mom. It's my mom.
It's your mom? What did she teach you? What's the trick?
It's just good genes, because she's the same way. My sister also. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I'll just keep my fingers crossed then. I have the opportunity to age as gracefully. So your son, what does he do?
He works for the Department of Veteran Affairs. He was also in the military. He spent and my daughter also served also. So we all served in the military. And they didn't do it because of me, because when they were growing up, I never mentioned the military to them.
Mm-hmm.
But they, in the end, when they got out, they said, we saw you and wanted to be like you. So that's why we decided to join the military, which was like the ultimate compliment.
Yeah. That is definitely the ultimate compliment. The day that my little 7-year-old or 2-year-old grow up and say, Mom, we watched you and you did it right, so therefore we're attempting to
exactly
do it like you did. I mean, what's better than that? Right? No money, nothing else.
And just add one thing when they say that is, I want you to be better than me. That's what I tell my grandchildren. I want you to be better than me.
Yes. Yes, I want you to be better than me. Oh, absolutely. So your daughter is also in the military still?
No, she was. They both served for 8 years. 8 years apiece, and then they decided to get out. And both of them work. One works down in North Carolina with the Army, and then my son works at Veteran Affairs. So we're kind of we love to serve.
Well, you're still serving. You're serving those again that are disserved, unfortunately, as of now. It's getting better. Those that are that are diverse in America. I did hear you say DAI. What's the difference between DEI and DAI?
We add DEIA. We add accessibility, because sometimes individuals with disabilities get left out, and I don't want that to happen within my organization. As long as I'm the vice president of HR here, it's all inclusive.
DEIA.
Yeah.
Thank
DEIA.
you. Okay,
Diversity,
I just want to
and accessibility.
And accessibility. It should always have the A. Yes, that is powerful, because those that have accessibility needs don't necessarily fall into the other 3 categories.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes great sense. So let's dive into the fact that you were the vice president of human resources at the United States Institute of Peace.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about what your day-to-day looks like, what it is that you do, and how you are a leader all the way as a vice president of human resources, and how you're meeting and guiding your staff.
It's important for us as the HR team here, which I'm fortunate enough to lead at this time, is to make sure that our staff have a very important job, because Institute of Peace, there's a lot of things going on right now, around the world that we're involved in. But to make sure our staff walk in this building and can focus on their jobs and not anything HR related. If you're worried about your pay, your benefits, or something like that, you're not focused on the mission that we hired you for. So that's the mandate I gave to my team. I empower them to do. I have some very talented people, very talented. I give them the authority to do what they have to do, and I tell them all the time, y'all make me look good. But I support you, I got you, but I'm not the face of this. My name is at the top. But all of you are HR, and I want you to do what you have to do and lead, because one of you should ultimately replace me.
So you're encouraging your staff. 1, you remind them about how talented they are. 2, you're ensuring that they don't have to worry about remedial things. And then 3, you're setting them up for success to quite literally replace you in your current position. That must truly drive your staff to serve the people at the institution, and then also you so well. How have you seen your leadership skills benefit the institution and yourself?
being the first minority and male, in this position, that's a win right there. Because, and I actually got hired during the heightened civil unrest, so that was a plus for the institute. I don't think it wasn't on purpose. Like I mentioned, my faith, it just happened because I wasn't even looking for this job. And then being able to do my job and also understand the ramifications if I don't do my job, because I want to continue to open the door for everybody, including people who look like me. That's one of the jobs that I have. And continue to do that so other people won't get turned away if I mess up. And that's a lot of pressure sometimes, but you get put in positions for a reason. And I know that's one of the reasons I'm in this position.
Well, thank you for being the one to break the glass ceiling there, because I heard you say that you were one of the first minorities and male to take over this position.
Yes.
Has that been a great shift in the environment in regards to you being a minority and a male? Or do you think that it's due to the shift in the leadership? Or both?
Both. It's been both. Because I'm, when I have to be, I'm that HR person that people don't like to see. But I really like being an HR person that people come to. And it's HR is hard to be in because you can do 99 things right, and then 100th thing you do wrong, that's all the thing people remember.
Right.
So you have to be tough to work in this business. But being here and just showing people that we're strategic partners. We're not your enemy, and we're here to help you in any way we can so you're successful in your job.
I imagine that is a part of what led you to receiving these bronze medals. Tell me more about that achievement.
They were both surprises because I don't do things for recognition. I really don't like, in the military we could get awards or whatever. I mean, it was nice to be recognized, but I don't do things for that. I do things in my life to see people succeed, and then if they succeed, I succeed. The bronze medals came, I accepted them. Both of them were for different DEIA programs, and they were truly surprises. Both of them were, because the work we're doing is not about being recognized. It's about making things better for the people we support.
Well, I admire your humility. I will say that if you've received these 2 bronze medals for your incredible accomplishments, but you don't do it for that. Tell me what you do it for. Give me an example of something that you are proud of. You are proud of what achievement you are proud of, and how I imagine it was out of servant leadership as opposed to wanting to be honored with a medal.
This position, because it happened, people they sought me out, like an executive recruiter, contacted me. It actually happened. True story. It was Friday afternoon. I was actually signing off because we were all still teleworking then. And he reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, "Are you interested in this position?" I was like, first of all, dude, it's 5 o'clock on a Friday. I said, yeah, I'll talk to you on Monday. And then I reached out to him Monday, and normally I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do that. So I reached out to him, and then we started talking, and it all fell into place. And that's when I knew I'm supposed to be here. And then coming in the height period of the civil unrest, and having the institute had just went through a external review, and that was the first information I got when I got here. We need you to work on this. I said, I got it. This is not going to be easy. Talk to the different communities within the organization, and realize, okay, you have a lot of work ahead of you, but you're here for a reason. So, buckle down and get this done. and we're still working on it today, but it's my goal is any place I work is to make it a little better than it was before I walked in the door. And I think I'm achieving that. We'll see, but I won't assess it until I leave, because it's not about that. It's about just coming in, making sure people have what they need to do their jobs here.
Give it all you got while you're there.
Yes.
So I heard you say that you were hired in the midst of this civil unrest and given the assignment to dive straight in. Give me an example of that. Tell me more. What was that assignment, and what did it look like for you to dive in the middle of such a hard and tense time?
To basically let people know that you have a champion now, but we're not going to make rash and decisions that aren't sustainable. We're going to work through this. We're going to have conversations that aren't easy. Everybody is not going to like the conversations. Also, everybody's not going to like the outcome of the conversations. But you have to remember, I'm here to support everybody and not just one community. Everybody will have a voice, and we will walk away implementing procedures, processes, initiatives that is the best for this organization. Because we wouldn't be here without this organization, this institute. So, but we also know how important the people are in this institute, and everybody needs to have a voice in some capacity.
You said that we wouldn't be here without this institution. Tell us what exactly the Institution of Peace is designed to do and what it does for us currently.
The mission is to, because some people get us confused with the State Department or the Agency of International Development. We're working with them as partners to make sure we could come to the table, because we're nonpartisan, to come to the table and offer solutions, because people don't think of us as working for the administration, or, whatever. We are a congressionally funded organization, but we have a mandate to be nonpartisan. So we can be at the table sometimes where the State Department can't, or USAID cannot. That's our niche, and we're there to try to broker peace. We're going to listen to both sides, and let's have a conversation, and then also understand when peace may not happen, and be able to articulate that and say, but how close can we come? And as you can see by the world today, we're gainfully employed.
That in itself is a win. It definitely is a win. What are you most passionate about just at your job? Clearly, it's in regards to making sure that we're implementing peace and keeping that consistent in America for all of the citizens. What would you say gets you up out of bed and excited to be at work?
Consistency, and this is a military term, standardization. So you put processes and procedures in place that people understand, and so you're not all over the place. One thing about HR, you can't be all over the place. People may not like the policies and procedures, but they're there for a reason. And then we sit down and talk to people. This is why we do this. If a person asks a question and we say, no, we can't do that, we should be able to switch over and say, this is why we can't do that. But we can help you with this. And then sometimes it's a no, but we can explain why it's a no. This is why we can't do this. That's all I try to do.
So what's next? Once your employees that you're training up to take your position, you have this impeccable career in HR, also helping those in diversity and accessibility, equality, and inclusion. What's up next for you professionally and personally?
Professionally, for a few years from now, this may be it. I never know. This was my goal, to be a vice president of an organization as an HR person. I've achieved that. But you never know. Somebody could come with another challenge. A bigger organization or something that I'm passionate about. My my family, my family is number one in my life. Well, let me be honest. God is number one in my life. My family on this earth is number one in my life, and making sure they have what they need. I'm there to help them, support them, and then my friends, colleagues, all come second. But once I got that straight in my life became a lot simpler.
Well, you are a leader at the United States Institute of Peace, attaining your goal as a vice president. I love that that was your goal and that you have it. So congratulations on that. You're a leader clearly at home, as your children are following in your footsteps, being servant leaders as well. You have an incredible wife continuing to support you and your incredible children and grandchildren. So you were clearly doing something right, Dr. Jones.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to say anything it is that you want to make sure you share with this audience. So the floor is yours. What would you like to share with anyone who's interested possibly in following your incredible path?
For me, we often make things very complicated in our lives. And I realize I can only manage and control one thing is myself. And if I do that, just imagine how better this world would be if we would just say, okay, I need to focus on myself and make myself better. And not worry about the other person, my next door neighbor or whatever. If they need my help, I'm there. But I need to focus on myself first and be the best person I can be. And then work from there.
What excellent advice. We can only control ourselves. We can't control how other people respond or how other people think, but we can control what we say, how we move, how we think.
Exactly.
And that's the precipice, the catalyst for all great things. With that excellent advice, we are going to move over to rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So these are just some fun, quick questions so we can get to learn a little bit more about you. First things first, book that changed your life.
To be candid, the Bible. The Bible.
That's a good one. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Early bird. Great go-to productivity hack.
That's a good one. I would say my wife.
She keeps you productive.
Yes.
Best advice you've ever received?
I was in the military, and a person told me, very successful in the job I was in, but he said, but I stayed in one location. He told me, nobody knows you outside this area. Spread out and let other people see what you do. And that's what I've done.
And that's been beneficial for you in your career.
Yes.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
DMX.
Listen, Dr. Jones, I didn't know you and I had so much in common. Earl is one of my faves. Which song are you talking about?
What is that one? And I just played it the other day too. I can't think of the name, but it's the Rough Rider one. What?
Oh, the anthem?
Yeah, the anthem. The anthem. Yes.
Do 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 do. That one's gotten me through plenty of gym sessions.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And lastly, your personal motto
is always try to be a good person. Always try to be a good person, regardless of what happens. Always try to find some good out of what's happened. Regardless of what it is, because you can always do that. It may be limited, but you can say, I learned this or whatever. This, you got to find a positive thing to walk away with, because if you don't, it will bother you. Always be positive. Well,
I am positive that this has been one of my absolute favorite interviews. It has been so incredible learning about you and your journey. Is there anything that you want to say that has not been said that you wanted to share?
I thank you for taking the time to do this. It's a pleasure. And I also want to thank my, which always be my University of Phoenix family. I would not be here in this position without the people that were involved. I graduated 5 years ago, but I still mention them every time I talk about my journey. It's my UOPX family, and I appreciate all of you.
Well, we appreciate you. I am like your family, like your children, like your grandchildren, and like those that work with you, following in your footsteps, heading to that doctorate of management. And I will be taking in these tips. So thank you so much for just being so candid and sharing so many great things with us to help us drive forward. And hearing your remarkable journey has just been so incredible. So thank you for that.
It's my pleasure.
That brings us to the end of today's episode of Degrees of Success. Don't forget to subscribe and like and comment and all the good things. If they want to catch up with you though, Dr. Jones, where would they do that?
LinkedIn, very common name, Terry Jones. It'll pop up. I respond. I may not respond the next day, but if they have a question or whatever, I will respond.
Incredible. He's even willing to serve you when he hasn't met you. So take advantage. Dr. Terry Jones, again, absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for joining Degrees of Success. I've been your host, Frida Richards, and I'm reminding you that your next chapter just might be your best. Have a great one. Bye.